Five, four, three, two. Good morning, world. The time is 12:08. Scratch that. 12:09 a.m. on May 31st, 2023. My name is Chris Kennard, and I'm joined by a family friend, peer, fellow artist. Some might even say visionary. It's Mikie. We are here to discuss his latest album. It's called Endure. How are you today, sir?
Thank you. I'm well. I'm out here existing and trying to survive. So today is a new day. Today is a day for forgiveness and peace and love. And yeah,
That sounds quite poetic.
like
Um, all right, so imagine you and I are in an elevator and you have a pitch. You're going to pitch Endure to me. What is Endure? What inspired it? What is it?
Endure is an album that I created after putting out an album called Endless Love, which was about my fiance at the time. We actually just recently split up. We'll get into that later. But Endure is about, um, going through the hardships in relationships, but still maintaining that kind of endless, you know, um, abundant, sometimes overwhelming type of love that you can feel for your partner, and that you really I feel like should feel for your partner. So it's about that. It's about exploring new sounds. um Actually, this album was originally going to be all acoustic. It was going to be all acoustic guitar and me singing over that. I kind of changed course with that because um I wasn't fully ready to commit to all that. But Endure is about that, and about surviving, about trying to work through inner struggles that you have, and kind of making things work, and making things you know just endure the pain, go through it, learn from it, and move on eventually.
Well, this is my stop, so I guess we'll get off right here. But in the meantime, there are 21 tracks on Endure, so we're going to play 21 questions. And just as a quick spoiler alert, there are definitely more than 21 questions that I prepared for you, but I appreciate you taking the time to just glance over them and giving me the okay on most, if not all of them. So, shall
Yes.
we get started?
Yes, anything for you. Yep.
Well, that's very kind. Let's start with the first question in regards to the first song, I guess, I suppose the intro, simply titled Elvis. And no, we're not talking about the K pop standum. Mikie,
Yes.
who is Elvis and what does he mean to you?
Elvis is a character that I often like to think that I am Elvis in certain aspects of my life. It's Elvis Presley. Both of my grandmothers loved Elvis. My other grandmother mainly just kind of liked his movies, but then my other grandmother, who's my Mimi, is from Mississippi. She's from Biloxi, Mississippi. And Elvis is from Mississippi as well. So, um, they both like Elvis for different reasons, and I kind of like grew up on it. I really love the new Elvis movie with Austin Butler. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, like, you should definitely check that out because it is phenomenal. Tom Cruise, not Tom Cruise. Oh my gosh, I just called Tom Hanks Tom Cruise. Tom Hanks is phenomenal as well. I think that his character, you can think that it's humorous, and it is, a lot of it is humor. But then, like, man, he just dials it down and just turns into like this villain, bro. Like, is straight like out here, like so. Oh my gosh, like so it's good for that. It's good for a lot of different reasons. I think that Austin Butler, like my dad even said it. He plays a good Elvis. He plays a good Elvis. I love Elvis's music as well too. I think, he's one of the greatest performers ever, in my opinion. So, in my humble opinion.
Well, you mentioned that you're a fan of Elvis's music. What is your favorite Elvis song?
Ah, man, if you would have asked me this like a little bit over a month ago, I would have given you a different answer. But now I would say it's probably "If I Can Dream." And that plays a huge part in the movie as well, in the new Elvis movie as well, and you'll see why. But I think that "If I Can Dream" is a very good song. If no one's heard that song before and you want to get introduced to Elvis, then I think that that's definitely a good song to start with. Yeah.
Okay, then I guess we'll move on from there. I had to like look it up because I've never heard that Elvis song before, but I know he has like a lot of songs. So I guess something to
Yeah.
like get into at a later date. When in our own private conversations, I asked you what your favorite song on the album was, and you told me it was track two, Says It Means It. And if you don't mind, well, I try my best to like just follow along with the lyrics. I know that you're still in your free write era, which you've been in for quite a long time, and
Yes.
I respect you for committing to the bit. What can you tell me about Last April, which comes up in the song?
So a year ago, well, over a year ago now, was when I started dating my fiance, which is now my ex. And "Says It and Means It" is was kind of like a thing that we would say to each other, like if he says it, he means it. If she says it, she means it. Like it's like a thing of saying like, yeah, I said it and like I mean it. It wasn't like a negative term that we would say to each other. Like if we said something like really sweet, yeah, and I said it and I mean it. Like something like that. But it was for me, as far as like the music goes, I feel like it was one of the first acoustic songs that I did, and I have been on this like singing kick for a while, and I feel like when I did that song, I like kind of fully transitioned over to, okay, I can sing, but I'm not just singing over hip hop instrumentals anymore, which is where I got my start with rapping. So I feel like I had transitioned out of that almost completely to where like, oh, well, if I want to sing, I'm going to sing over pretty much anything. Like you name it, I'll give them my best shot and, sing over that. And you talk about the free write, and that's something that I still do. I don't write anything down. I feel like songs should kind of like write themselves. And I feel like when you write things down, a lot of the times what I would run into is that it wasn't working. Whatever I wrote down wasn't working. So it's best to kind of organically let the lyrics kind of like write themselves in a way.
All right, cool. Track number three on the album is Convos. And do you mind? I have a couple questions in regards to this song. What are
Yeah.
your favorite subjects for conversation in general,
Mm.
would you say?
My favorite conversation subjects in general. I would say like football. I love football, like NFL. I'm not really big into like college football, but like the NFL is definitely a good conversation starter for me. Music also huge conversation starter. And really, I mean, if I'm drinking enough, I'll pretty much talk about like anything. I'll pretty much talk about literally anything I could have a conversation with. Yeah.
All right, then I think we'll have to squeeze another question into this specific song. You mentioned like sports and music. I guess to start with like music, how on earth did you secure a DJ drama drop, sir? Without
Well,
incriminating yourself, of course.
right. I like to say, without incriminating myself, I think that that drop, that tag, is it's very effective. If you know how to use it, it can be very, very effective. And I feel like in certain, like, you know, genres, or like beats or instrumentals, whatever you have, if you use it the right way, that shit is gonna slap. It's gonna slap, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, this is crazy! This is crazy! I can't believe that this is happening right now."
So I suppose it just happened to be there.
It just happened to
Yes?
be there.
No?
Yeah, I just happened to know.
Okay.
I just happened to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that, knows DJ Drama. That
Certainly. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah.
Just thought I was morbidly curious.
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
guess to be honest with you, I don't really know anything about sports, but if I had to ask you one thing that stood out to me last year, or I guess like last season in regards to football, was when that young man got hit, who played for the Buffalo Bills and his heart stopped.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
What were your thoughts on that when that occurred?
Oh man, that was heartbreaking and like very nerve wracking to see like that. And it's oh my gosh, like I must have watched that like a million times. And thank God that there was the right person was on the field to assess that situation, and and be able to you know bring them back. Like, that was just insane to watch that. And prayers out to his family, and prayers out to that trainer that did the CPR, because that it was that the trainer did the CPR on him and brought him back, and then they took him to the hospital and everything. And that was just amazing. Like, whew,
Uh,
very
t-
gut wrenching. Yeah.
Two more questions about football. Would you say that the sport is too violent, or do you think that, as far as just like the current status of the game, would you say that it was better? Would you say that you enjoyed football more as a child, or you enjoyed it more as a man?
Um, I feel like I enjoy it more as a man, because I played it up until the level where I couldn't, because I was a player, so I played it up until the level where I couldn't play it anymore. And I had thought about playing, that I wanted to play in college, but I wasn't at the right school for that, number one. And number two, I didn't want to go to college, to like the average college. So I enjoyed it more as a man, because I'm like, oh well, I played that position and I played that position. Oh, I know what offense they're in. I know what defense they're running. Like, I feel like you can appreciate it more after like playing it. And like, oh man, if they just put me in, if they just called me up and were like, yo, like, we want you to play middle linebacker. Like, I'd be like, oh my god, yeah, I would totally do that. So I feel like I enjoy it. I enjoy it more as a man, I would say, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Two more questions. Who's your favorite team?
I am a Washington Commanders fan. And I recently found out that we might not even be able to be the Commanders, because the trademark was denied. So they got to probably figure out another new name, which is going to be awful, because I'm just getting used to this new name. So, it's interesting time to be a Commanders fan right now.
All right, screw that. Two more questions.
Yes.
If you get to choose the name for the Washington D.C. national NFL team, what would you change the name to?
To the Commanders name.
Yeah, since they can't keep the name, what would you change the name to?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. I feel like it should. it makes sense for them to be, military themed and everything. So I would think either that or maybe like the I wanted them to be the Red Wolves so bad because that would have been like, think about just having like a wolf like as your logo, or like the Red Hogs or something like that. I feel like that those were in like my top two of when they had the option, or like it was on the table that that could have been the name, but it was a trademark issue. And I feel like if this is what it is now, they really should have done their research before fully committing to this and changing the name and changing the uniform. And like, I feel like they should have done their research.
All
So,
right, last final question in regards to this particular thread. Speaking of rich people, as far as I'm concerned, Jay-Z is still responsible for picking the halftime performer every year. So how would you feel if Hove hit your phone and wanted you to like perform at the halftime show? What would you do?
I would be ecstatic. I would be like, all right, I got you. Let me call up Post Malone. We're gonna have the most epic halftime show ever. Like, we're gonna come out. He's gonna do his thing. I'm gonna do my thing. Maybe we'll do a duet. Like, it would be absolutely insane if that happened, and I would make sure of it.
Okay, cool, awesome. That expanded a lot more than I thought it would, and that's quite all right. Track number 4 is Bullseye, and this is more of a lighthearted question. Axes or arrows? Like, if you have to hit the bullseye, how can we depend on you if we're going to be on my team? Are you going to throw the axe? You're going to like shoot a
Oh,
bow like Hawkeye, or we're going to the bar so you can throw like those darts?
Oh, I'm going full axe because I've done axe throwing quite a few times. I feel like I'm pretty on the mark when it comes to throwing an axe, and I've broken it down. So a lot of people think that that you can be more accurate like throwing it with one hand, but I have had the almost precise precision when you go double hand over the head, like just throwing it like Thor. Like, you know how Thor throws Stormbreaker? Like, if you throw an axe, how Thor throws Stormbreaker, oh my gosh, bro, you're on the money. That's like a headshot every single time.
Well, it sounds to me like we'll be winning the county cup when I come to visit again, so that's good news for me.
Oh yeah, we'll totally go axe throwing for sure. Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 5 is in regards to the song Invincible.
Yeah.
And this is, I guess, a semi-serious kind of question, just building in tone here. I'm sure you've heard the saying, man plans, God laughs. When you hear that phrase, how does that make you feel?
I think it makes me feel, mortal. It makes me feel mortal because um we might think that we have all of these plans in mind. And I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and I feel like, we come along and have all of these plans in mind. Oh, this is how my life's gonna go. I'm gonna do this, and that's gonna get me that. I'm gonna do this. That's gonna happen. When in reality, not even to like be corny and quote the Drake song "God's Plan," but it's really up to Him. Like we can do things and be successful and try different things, but when it all comes down to it, even if you don't believe in a higher power or anything, you gotta see that like there's like such an incredible force above all of us that has control over everything ultimately. And even if you don't have that higher power, I'm not trying to convert anybody, but there's in my personal experience, what I've experienced and what I believe in, anytime I try to plan something, or oh, I'm gonna do XYZ and that's gonna get me here, it might get you there, but there also are certain things that you're gonna learn, and maybe it doesn't work out that way, maybe it works out a different way. So
Would you say that possibly The turn of phrase is both humbling and humiliating.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, there's been a lot of times where I've thought that I was like on top of the world, and I've learned that recently, where I've been humbled and humiliated, and heartbroken, kind of, all in one. So I definitely can relate to that. Yeah, for sure.
Take it easy, Triple H. Huh, huh, huh.
Yeah,
Shout out to Paul, I guess.
yeah, that alliteration.
Okay, so track number 6 on the album is Obsessed. And I wanted to just like I guess ask you about like the back half of the album, like the music. Because not only we're hearing you
Mhm.
sing, we're hearing guitars every so often. And I'd like to
Yeah.
ask you, what specifically do you like about the guitar, and what made you decide, okay, but like this is the space that I want to be in creatively for like the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to when I first started making music, like not like recording stuff, but like when I first like really started playing instruments. I had first started with the piano, then it was the drum, and then it was the guitar. And I feel like I really fell in love with music when I started playing the guitar. So I feel like naturally, it's just kind of like where I want to be. And like, I would only, like, there's so many people to kind of thank for like getting into like that whole space. And I feel like the one main person that I can thank for, paving the way for that to be possible with whatever I'm doing to my vocal, whether it be auto tune or reverb, I feel like is Post Malone. And like I saw that and I was really inspired by everything that he was doing, because like he's talked about doing a country album. I'm not going to do that, but I really want to kind of get more into the rock genre, not just alternative rock, but like, even metal, man. Like I would be interested in doing that. I feel like it's, as an artist or, a singer songwriter, that it's always amazing when you get to, branch out and you don't box yourself in, and you get to kind of, express yourself kind of freely. I feel like there's so much power and there's so much healing and things that you can get out of doing that. So
All right, cool. We'll have to talk about that a little later off air about like your intrigue with the metal, because that's my whole bread and butter. That'll be fun. Here's
yeah.
another fun question. I guess that came out. It came about because track number 7 is In the Fields. And at first, I'm like, "Oh, is that term kind of played out?" But I'm like, "No, everyone asks that stuff in this like regular conversation." I thought like we do a twist on like fuck Mary Kill, and then I've come up with guest verse, songwriting credit, or producer credit for 3 people who just like use that particular term to put out a very successful song. We have Twice with The Feels. That was a big song for them as far as like branching out from South Korea to the States and such, putting on a full English song. We have like that Catch Feels record that Katy Perry was part of with Big Sean and Pharrell, and obviously Feel by Kendrick Lamar from Damn. So, Mikey, what I have to ask you is, these 3 artists, this rapper, this pop star, and like this, like international like girl group, you have an opportunity. You can give a guest verse to one of them. You can write a song or help write a song for one of them, or just full on produce a track for one of them. So what would you do and why?
So did you say it was a K-pop band at first?
Yeah, Twice. Twice is arguably
Twice.
I guess like at least I would say at least a couple of years ago you would consider them like the biggest girl group out of like in regards to just like South Korean idol music as far as I'm concerned. Maybe not so much these days, but I just remember a time when like they were like, okay, let's market ourselves in the West. here's a song that's all in English. I'm sure the fans will love it. And they did, as far as I'm concerned, anyhow. So like they put out The Feels and such. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like Mikie has a song called The Feels, so do they. What would you like to do for Twice? You know, get a guest verse in there, right? Help write a song or like produce a song for them.
I would help write a song because
Interesting.
because I feel like if they're trying to get into like music in the West, I feel like I'm pretty tapped into that, and I feel like I'm not tapped in enough to things that are happening, in the East. So I feel like if I could lend a hand in helping, write a song, I feel like that would be definitely beneficial for them, and then also beneficial for me, being able to be in touch with their music more and that type of thing.
It'd be a nice feather in your cap, I suppose. And
Yeah.
I want to include the fun fact that like it's like it goes in like you have a couple of options as far as I've observed from that like I guess like as far as like the behind the scenes of how songs are built or how like comebacks come to life in the sense that like a demo that you create would have to like you just like here's like what I have and it be translated and like just be like a song that market regionally, or it's just like like we reached out to some American songwriters, they workshops and stuff, and here's what we kept as far as just like records we want to like explicitly like push in the West, so like they'll give like the girls like a proper chance and things of that nature. So cool. Songwriter credit is off the board. We have Katie and Kendrick left. Do you want to give a guest verse to Katie, or maybe perhaps produce a song for Kendrick? What's more appealing to you?
So, you said Pharrell. I'm guessing Pharrell produced the Katie song, correct?
Yeah, he had like a vocal feature, and you know what? No, it was a Calvin Harris song, is what I'm referring to, off that funk wave bounce thing he did a little while ago. Yeah, I think he was just like I'm pretty sure he was just called in to like drop the verses, and like I don't think like he was behind the boards at all for that particular song.
Okay. Oh man, because I would have said produced because I've always wanted to produce a song with Pharrell. So
maybe next time.
man, I feel like I feel like I would help because Calvin Harris is a really good producer in my opinion as well. So I feel like I would still want to produce with Calvin Harris. So I would say
Calvin Harris doesn't count. He's not on this list.
Oh, I thought you said he was on like.
Even though it was his song, now that I think about it, I still have Katy Perry on the boards.
Okay, I'll produce for Katie. I got you.
Okay, cool. We'll see. We'll see a Mikie tag in the song somewhere.
Yeah.
with you on her side, she won't be sued by Christian rappers ever again.
No, not again.
I guess it means that you'll be doing a guest first for Kendrick. Are we thinking more of like? Are we thinking more along the lines of the whole? I'm sure you remember like the Love song that was very popular.
Yeah, I would even come out of retirement from rapping.
Oh yeah, you dust off your bars.
Dust off the bars. If you're gonna do a song with Kendrick, and you're a singer, but you used to rap, you're probably gonna end up rapping with Kendrick. Like, let's be real.
I don't know. You can always be on your Earth Gang type shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sing songy flow.
Yeah, like I'm not saying I'm gonna try to go bar for bar with him, but I'm definitely not gonna make it easy. I'm gonna make it like, all right, he's coming with this. All right, I'm gonna come with that, and then on top of it, I'm gonna add some flavor, and I'm gonna sing my heart out.
Well, there you go. Thank you for going down this like thought experiment with me. Let's get back to the topic on hand. Track number 8 is Middle Ground, and I feel like this might be maybe a little vague, so I apologize. But in regards to like the lyrical content of that song, what is a tangible example of romantic middle ground? What does that look like for you?
Well, I thought I was actually going to experience that recently, but it didn't pan out that way. But to me, it's to like meet, like, let's say you have this issue. It's meeting in the middle and okay, we're going to work on this until, we find a solution. Where lately, that was, I thought that was going to happen and then the person was like, fuck that, like we're not gonna, work on anything at all. So to me, in a perfect world, that means that we're gonna meet here, we're gonna work on this stuff that we need to figure out, and we're going to come to some solution, and know exactly what we're going to do moving forward. So to me, in a healthy relationship, if maybe there's some issues going on, to meet there and talk about things. All right, let's work it out. Let's, chalk it up, and we'll, keep going. But um I guess that's what I could say about that. I feel like that song, to me, at first, like, I didn't even it didn't even like occur to me, but I was like, man, I would listen back to it more, and I was like, man, like, I really need to pursue this whole guitar, singing over those singing vocals over a guitar, and like that whole genre. I just need to like really explore that. So I feel like in the next one that I do, it's gonna be very guitar centric, very rock centric to its core, basically.
Before we move on to track number 9, for any like, it's just you and I for the record. We're live, but like it's late, so
Yeah.
I didn't put any notifications out besides like on Instagram and such a couple of days ago. And but like for any like young people who may like find our conversation like for the sake of posterity, like we're in like our late 20s, early 30s, you and I, like say like some Gen Zers are listening to like our conversation, what would you say like if conflict resolution is important to like young people in their romantic pursuits, how does one what would you say to those where it's like, okay, but like if it can't be the two of us, how do we like find effective conflict resolution? Where would one find like where does one look to like
Yeah.
find this like the healthy constructive like conflict resolution that one needs in a relationship? Where does one seek that out, would you say?
So through working, like, I work in the I have a day job, yes. I work in the mental health field. And a lot of tools that I found to teach people who have a mental illness, and it works if you have a mental illness or not, um, on conflict resolution, is to have the ability to fight fair, even though you might be fighting. Make sure that you're fighting fair, and that the things that you're saying, are actual, like, are facts, and they're actually like real tangible things, that you're arguing or upset about. But the most important one would be is to, put it on pause. Like, and what that means is, okay, we're arguing and we're fighting right now. Let's take a break from that. Let's not talk about the issue, and let's come back to it in 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes is up. You still need more time. Okay, let's add another 30 minutes until you are in a calm state of mind that you can actually rationally talk about the issue or whatever you're having. Like, taking that time for yourself to really process everything. And that's what it really comes down to, is the ability to process and, work you. And it can't be one-sided either. You have to work with your partner and be like, hey, like, it's not just me in the relationship. There, if we're having an issue, we need to work on this together. Like, it doesn't mean we have to, you know go across the room and, work on things separately. That's not really, how it's done. And I have been in therapy before with a partner, and, it's one thing. Like, you can't come into it with one individual goal, and that, like, that's the only thing you're going to work on, because it's not the only, like, they're not the only person in the relationship. There's two people in the relationship, so you have to both address all the issues that you have, and be like, all right, like, we can work on this, we can work on that, maybe we need to compromise here, like, things like that. So I guess that's what I would say. on that issue.
Well, thank you for the elaboration.
Yeah.
Let's do one a little more lighthearted. Track number 9 is Blessings. When you reflect on the last year, like full on January 22 to December 22, what is one blessing that comes to mind that still like you hold in your heart dearly?
So one that I hold to my heart dearly is the reason why I made that song. I found my partner, which is now my ex, and that was a huge blessing for me. I got engaged to her, and I haven't really directly spoke about this in the interview, but it's been pretty difficult lately. I thought this person was my soulmate. Obviously they, in the end, they didn't feel the same way, even though that they said they did. But I thought that, was a huge blessing. And every song that I made for, the past year, over a year now, has been about them. And I've made 4 albums in the past year, and they were all, for that person. And I was 6 months away from being married to them. So, I still think it was a blessing. I still have an abundance of love for them, even though things didn't really go my way in the end. And I feel like that was a blessing all around, because I learned that not to really to still have my guard up, and to still kind of think things through. And know that even though this might be off-putting, but not to really put your full trust into somebody. But there comes a time where you're like, all right, I'm gonna do that. But really get to know a person before you decide that you want to spend the rest of your life with them, because they can totally wreck you up. But bless up, stay blessed. Yeah.
Okay, well, like I mentioned when we started like the stream, um, you pretty much gave me the green light on most of the questions except for number 10. So I went back into what I went back into like I listened to the song again, and I'm like, all right, so what can I glean from this? And I still want to like push you a bit in regards to just like the cerebral, like I don't know, like I'm using big like SAT words and shit, but like I still wanted to like I wanted to like I guess like ask you a thing that like has been on my mind for a long time. And like granted, like this is like from almost a decade ago, but one of like the big bands in my world, Chris Cerulli, aka Chris Motionless, frontman for Motionless in White. At the time, like the band was doing super. The band was, like steady, I guess steady rising, if you would. And when like you're in a scene like Emotionless in White, a lot of folks who are just like having a hard time, like they reach out to you, they share their stories, and I'm sure even like you being like primarily from like the hip hop world, I'm sure like quite a few rappers and such like hear from like people who supported the music for like a long time, sending letters, like DMs, emails, and such. And the concept of your music saved my life. You're my hero. You're my voice. And according to like Cerulli, a decade ago, writing in alternative press, he said, quote, "This you save my life thing has become an unbearable burden and a downright eye roller. No, I did not save your life. No, artist or individual X, Y, or Z did not save your life. If, in fact, you were on the brink of any self-harming action, it was you who pulled yourself from the ledge. You saved your life. You were the hero. Why are people not willing to why are people not willing to take credit for their own actions? When you consider your inspiration for this album, and just like the gravity of the love in your heart at the time, how does like these words hit your ears in hindsight, I suppose?
Mm. Yeah, I I would say, it's definitely a very great quote, a very good point, a very good thought that you just brought into the conversation. And um I've definitely felt that way about certain artists, and being able to, even I feel like, even have the opportunity to say that to somebody, I feel like would be such a blessing. And I kind of know what song you were talking about, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Um, but I feel like that would be, to me, it feels like an honor, but I definitely feel like, as a musician, as an artist, as a singer songwriter, that that it's also comes with a lot of responsibility. And I feel like that's kind of what he was conveying when he said that, because I get it. If somebody told me that, you know that their that my one of my songs stopped them from self-harming or something like that, I would feel a huge responsibility. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this person, like, love my music that much that it stopped them from harming themselves, or doing something like that. It's touching, it's moving in a way. Like, you can't have something like that said to you, and not be moved, and not be um and not be motivated to, like, oh my god, like, if you think, like, and I feel like, if someone said that to you, like, and you were going through something, maybe that's something that you needed to hear to, like, help you get through the day, that you impacted their life that much. So wow, man, that was I was not expecting that curveball. That was really deep, and I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah.
Cool. I sincerely appreciate you like trusting me enough to like ask you that. Spotlight on you type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now we're gonna get a little lofty, little
Mm,
hippy dippy in
yeah.
this piece. Track 11 is Broken. And honestly, I can't hear the term broken without thinking about Gorillaz from their third album, Plastic Beach. But I'm like, that's a little too depressing. But then like, oh, what's the opposite of being broken? It's being whole. So what would you say? What does it mean to be truly whole? From your perspective.
From my perspective, you need to be broken before you become whole. And like, the the opening lines, the opening lyrics to that song, I said, I was broken when you found me. I was broken when you found me. You put me back together. And I feel like that needed to happen before I could become whole, just in time for me to be, broken again. And, talking about my fiance at the time, and we did two songs together on this album. I kid you not. And everything that was recorded on this album was done so in front of her. So it kind of like adds that whole double whammy. Like, how do you even like process this? How are you even really talking about it? And I feel like it's just something that I need to work through, and I need to, work on before I can fully move on. But I just feel like you have to be broken before you can become whole. And then sometimes it's even a cycle where you're broken, and then you're whole, and then you're broken again, and then you're whole again. So I feel like it's this ever moving kind of motion, like this like cycle that you can kind of get in. And I don't even know if it's um because when you're broken, you don't feel good about yourself. You don't feel self-worth. You don't feel self-love. You don't really, have the right habits. You're not really doing the right things. But it's all everything I feel like kind of comes full circle until you're whole again. So when I made that song, a lot of the songs on this album, they're not all like lovey-dovey. There's like some deep cuts where I talk about not loving myself. Like even a fun song like Convos is about having social anxiety and not being able to really have a conversation or not really know what to say in a normal conversation. So I feel like a lot of it, doesn't always deal with this lovey-dovey, oh, I'm so in love, like, let's go skipping through the park or something like that. But I guess that's how I could answer it to the best of my ability.
Sure. I guess if I was going to be positive about it, I think that like as we get older and such, and I'll see how like you're progressing in your life. I'll know the question when I see it. Like when the best case scenario in your life takes place, I'm like, so that's what it means to be whole. You know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Track.
totally
Ooh,
understand
go
that.
ahead, please. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was gonna say I totally understand that. I'm 31 and I still go through those cycles. And I mean, I I had felt for a time I had felt pretty whole. Over the past year I felt pretty whole. And then I'm back kind of at this broken stage. But it's all a part of life. It's all a part, things that you go through. And the chances are you're not the only one that goes through them. Like, you're not the only one. There's tons of people out there. There's even, support groups that you can go to feel, to have those feelings and, have those things come to fruition and, be able to, work on things. So,
You know what they say? Broken glass creates a great collage.
mm, that is true.
So, track number 12 of the album is In My Soul. And at first I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I could totally ask Mikey what he thought about the movie Soul, but I'm like, nah, I'm like, let's go let's be cerebral. Let's go to like a let's get lofty, you know? So, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
so how often would you say that you contemplate the idea of eternity? Because at
Mm.
some point, like your earthly body, like it does the best that it can, but then like there's something possibly beyond this like plane of existence. And do you think about that often? Would you say?
Yeah, I do a lot of praying. And then there's times in my life where I have to do a lot of like soul searching, like pun intended, where, you try to figure out where you think you should be or like what you think you should be doing. It could be like a career wise, like, oh, like I think, I should be doing this, or, maybe if I did this, then this thing would happen. So I think that it's more, for me it's more about soul searching. And whenever I think of eternity, I think of Star Lord and Guardians of the Galaxy, and his dad like taps his forehead because he's like in the comics he's a god, and he like taps his forehead and he gets to see eternity, which is also another character. But um like I think of like that, and in that scene his eyes like open, like his eyes open, and you see like his eyes are replaced like with the galaxy, and you can like see that. So I always thought that was like a cool parallel to like it's not just the character, it's like actually like he's seeing eternity like in front of him. Um and yeah, I just think I just I try to do my best like every day, and I try to inspire others, and I try to keep myself inspired and motivated, and just try to be the best version of myself. And looking for eternity, like there's a lot of things I have to work on before that. I have to work on being a nice person. I have to work on being a genuine, honest, hardworking person. Because that's at the end of the day, that's what I'll be judged on. And I gotta focus on making like really good music too, because this is my legacy. This is something that I want to be remembered by.
Cool. All right. So a lot, I guess.
Yeah, a lot. I speak in tangents, like what Kanye said. He was like, I got he like got interviewed by Joe Rogan. He's like, yeah, I'm bipolar, so you ask me a question, I'm gonna give you like 7 or 8 different answers.
I have never heard of either of those gentlemen.
Oh
Anywho,
yeah.
um, track number 13 on the album is an interlude, So Easy. Here's I guess like a softball question.
Yeah.
What I hope anyway. Can you tell me something about your life that was once hard but is now easy?
Mm. Um, I would say something that was once hard but so easy. I feel like being able to express how I feel emotionally, um kind of like being able to um do that. And it was once very hard for me to be able to express how I was feeling in a positive, productive, like kind of nonchalant way, where once upon a time it was a struggle to do that.
Do you mind sharing like a specific example of how when it was hard for you to like express yourself?
So I'm the type of person that where I tend to, if I'm not a person that kind of stuffs in things, like stuffs in emotions and like feelings and stuff, because I used to try to do that, and it would kind of bleed out in other parts of my life, where if I was angry at something and I held it in, and it was something that I kept feeling that anger, I would kind of lash out. And I wasn't really such a nice person. But when I address those issues, like if I address those emotions or feelings, then I didn't really, kind of feel that way anymore. Like I was able to express myself in a positive, uh, constructive way.
Okay, cool. Let's do some like constructive, creative thinking right now. Track number 14 is Nomad. So I wanted to know that if like your finances were not an obstacle, where in the world would you like to build a new home?
Oh man, if my finances were no obstacle, I want to say Hawaii, because I've been there and
Oh
I
no.
love it, but I would be,
No, Mike,
yeah, I would be yeah,
no.
I would be trapped on that island, bro. I would
I
be
wouldn't. No, no. Okay, gotta shatter the fourth wall here. Hey, people, Americans in particular, if you think about going in Hawaii, don't go. Please don't go.
I've been there, bro. It's amazing.
I know,
It's
but
amazing.
what I've recently learned about Hawaii recently is that like folks who's like I guess like whose heritage lives on on that specific nation is like they don't want like Americans to come up in there. They're like, can y'all like bounce and like never come back? And I'm like, oh word, I know it was like that for real, for real. Like
Mm.
I'll probably drop some sources in the doobly doo about it. It's like my boy was like, oh my following Rick Rubin's footsteps. Oh no.
Wait, Rick Rubin lives there?
So for like the first year of lockdown, I listened to Questlove Supreme every week. And one week they had Rick Rubin. And Clash is like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm in Hawaii. I walk on the beach every morning." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I have a house out here. You should really just like go for a walk in the morning. It's like super good." He's on that hippy dippy flow, and I'm just like, "Of course, Rick Rubin lives in Hawaii. Like that sounds like him." But for real, y'all. Like, for anyone who might be listening, who's like, "Yo, like Mikey's got a good idea. I'm about to pull up in Hawaii, and just like stay there for the duration. Please
Yo,
live someplace else. I beg of you."
yo, next time you see me, I'm gonna have a beard, hopefully as long as Rick Rubin's beard,
Good
because I mean
heavens.
that dude is a straight idol, and I am going to grow my beard out. I don't know if it'll get that long, but like, I mean, man, the thought process to like walk on the beach every morning. Like I used to do that like where like my mom lived because she had a pool that like had sand on it and everything, and like I would go there in the morning, and this is really bad. I would walk on the beach and then I would smoke like 5 cigarettes. Which I'm not condoning, by the way. I'm not condoning that at all.
Hey,
But
your
like,
journey
just
is your
to like,
journey.
yeah, just to like, I've quit that. I've moved on to vaping, which is not that good. I'm trying to quit that as well, but one thing at a time, baby steps. But
Real.
the
We are
ability
all on our on horses. Yeah.
to walk on the beach every morning. I mean, I could go to Florida, but I don't like their government down there either. I don't like what they stand for down there, really. I mean, I love Disney World, but that's if I had maybe I should just pick Disney World because I feel like they operate like
That would be
outside of
fun living in Disney World. Yeah.
yeah, like they operate outside of Florida. Like they have like their own like little setup. Like you don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. We don't do this, we don't do that. Like they have like their own like little. They live in their own world down there. They literally like it's like Disney World for a reason. Like they have their own real estate, like everything. Like nothing's touching Disney World. Like they can't build anything on that property for like 1,000 years. Like no one else can build it except for the Walt Disney Company.
I'll
Yeah,
say this about Florida because it is a significant part of like our culture as Americans. There are a lot of communities that call Florida home that I'm very fond of, like those from a Hispanic background, those from like a Black background, the queer community out in Florida. For anyone who shares memes or makes kind of like crude jokes at the expense of people who live in Florida, please know that like in addition, like you hear a lot of like really scary and awful news from that state, but like there are like a lot of like because some folks are like, oh, I'm gonna leave, I'm never gonna come back, and like congratulations if you can do so safely and like without being like without like taking on like financial hardships. But there are folks who love Florida with all of their hearts and ought to love Florida with all of their hearts. So much like great music, culture, and other great things are I've started in Florida, and like I think of like several festivals and like bands that I love who are based there or moved there or just like such cool things came from that state. And like there's so much more that Florida has to offer besides that one specific meatball. May his name live in agony. But that's neither here or there. We're here to talk about Mikey instead. End rant. So track number 15 is Hero. And I wanted to do another light-hearted question. When you were a kid, what superpowers did you want?
when I was a kid, I wanted to be Wolverine. I wanted to have like metal claws that came out of my hands, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be able to heal as fast as I was ripped apart.
Yeah, I think that would be very handy these days.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Like, shout out to Logan.
I used
Shout
to
out to
have
shout out to the Canadians.
Yeah, I used to have an X-Men phone because my dad put me on the game. So he would watch the X-Men cartoon with me like back in the 90s. I mean, I feel like an old head right now like
You're
talking
not,
about
but go
it.
on.
But he would watch the X-Men cartoons with me, and like that's what got me into Wolverine. And like I so by the time the first X-Men film came out, I was like already huge Wolverine fan. I was like, I know what I came here to see. And like he's in that cage fight. he's tossing him around. He's tossing him around. Uppercut, uppercut. Like, whew, like I was like, all right, like this is my superhero. Like this is my guy. Like I feel like every like nerd like myself has to have that one superhero that they absolutely adore, and there's no other superhero that could come close to him.
Whatever you say, bub.
I like that.
Now I kind of already used this bit with like the feels question, but I'm gonna like to heck with it. It's our show.
Yeah.
Number 16 on the track list is On a Vibe, and so I guess like I didn't want to use it with feels, but I guess we'll use it with this. Um, do you feel as though you like because now you're guilty of this yourself? Have like since like COVID-19 entered our lives, a lot of interesting trends have like become popularized over the last 3 years. And would you say that going forward into like 2024 and beyond, is vibe ruined forever? At least for the next like 7 years of the decade.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I was hesitant to use that word in the song because I do feel like, I feel like it's been kind of played out. The word vibe, vibes, like it's been I feel like now it's like such a normal thing. Like if you were to like hit anybody up, like
Like,
like somewhere the vibes would come up.
oh,
Like
okay.
vibes would yeah, like vibes, the word vibes would just come up like, oh, the vibes are oh like those are vibes, those are the vibes. Like I don't know. I feel like that it's played out. But for the song, I feel like it works because it's a cliche. It's like saying like I'm coasting on a vibe. What else would I be coasting on? A surfboard, a canoe, a kayak? It's a vibe.
Okay, Rivers Cuomo. Nah, but if I may, it's like I think of in regards to like songs with that particular title, I think of three things. The first thing I think about is the song "Meet Me at Our Spot" by The Anxiety, featuring one Willow Smith. And personally, I found that the live version of that song is a classic, personally. And whenever I heard people say this song is annoying, I'm like, I didn't understand what they meant. But then my younger brother, shout out to Migo Kev, as we have affectionately come to know him by, he played me like this, like the studio version of Meet Me at Our Spot. And I'm like, man, this is terrible. I don't enjoy this at all. But just like the difference the live version of a song can make, just like they completely transform like the composition. And I love that. A bad
Oh yeah.
example is back in, again, mentioning K-pop, things of that nature. There's this one boy band called Big Bang, and there are 5 dudes in the group. Now there are 4. We don't talk about the 5th one anymore these days. I guess like you could call him like just like the South Korean Trey Songz, Taeyang. He dropped a song early this year called Vibe featuring Jimin from BTS, who's like like they're the current like big boy band out there. And I'm like, oh, like these 2 guys on a song. Oh, it's sure to be like really entertaining. It's probably they're gonna sing, they're gonna dance, they're gonna have some like cool clothes. I'm probably gonna really enjoy this song. Song comes out, and I know because I'm on Twitter and like all like the folks I follow in that specific genre and culture, like, yo, the song's out. I'm like, oh, let me give it a shot. Like, it's like, this year I plan to like listen to a lot of new music this year. I'm like, oh, like I'm gonna be intentional about this. I'm gonna give the song a chance. Like, should I like talk about it on like my TikTok? Like, what's going on? So I put the song on and I really don't like it. And I'm like, oh man, I was disappointed that like what they were trying to like reach for with the composition didn't work for me. And like I try not to be too much of a hater. And like you've known me for a long time, I used to be a super hater. And so I was just like, when I don't like when a song doesn't like really just like hit me the right way, I'm like, what about this isn't working for me? And to this day, I'm like, I can't listen to that song again because I'm just like, I'm either gonna cringe or I'll be annoyed, and I don't want to be annoyed at these dudes. I'm trying to be more like Vince Staples. He doesn't hate on nobody because he's not trying to take no food out of nobody's plate. And finally, I think one we can all agree on is the "It's a Vibe" by 2 Chainz, which honestly like might be the best vibe song ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no arguments there, right?
no arguments there.
He's got a vibe that's gonna make a hot chick want hibachi. Hibachi.
I feel
Yo,
like what I was going for is like it's more on the Willow like aspect of like it's kind of
down
like
tempo punk song.
well I feel like it's about because I have a lot of anxiety that I've dealt with, and it's more just kind of like coasting on that. Like I have enough anxiety to just kind of coast, basically. And it wasn't until recently that that had gotten a lot better. So, um, I typically tend to like overthink and overanalyze a lot of situations and a lot of different things. But like with that, I just felt it was just like coasting on like all of that. And now I don't really feel any of that, like, any kind of way. And if I could break down that, like being an overthinker and over analyzing, you tend to like always kind of want to do the right thing, like, which makes you a good person because you want to do the right thing. And that's like what a good person does. They want to do the right thing, and it's not about always being right. It's about wanting to do the right thing. It doesn't make you a goody two shoes or anything. I'm definitely not one of those, but it's like it's just about wanting to always be doing the right thing and the right thing for your situation. But it also plays a lot into overthinking, over analyzing, and like also, which my doctor has described as mania, because I'm bipolar, and that's something that I've been open about for a long time now. So yeah, that's kind of just what I was going for with that.
I guess we'll probably stay in the same headspace with this next question for in regards to track 17 slow motion. Maybe this was too easy of a question to ask, but can you tell me about something that moves too fast that you wish that would slow down?
Moves too fast. That needs to slow down.
Yeah, like you can be like literal about it. You can like be kind of like just kind of like space Casey about it, but just like what's like like something that you've observed in this life. It's like this is like moving too fast. You wish it wouldn't like like it's like say I don't know, like a puppy. Like you get a puppy and like 5 years go by and that dog is big. And it's like, dang, like where did all the time go? Type thing. You know what I'm saying? What moves too fast that you wish you could slow down?
Oh, squirrels, 100%. Because I just want to like be able to look at a squirrel in the eyes, like just in the face, and be
I
like,
see you
yo,
are not on squirrel talk like I am.
like what is your problem? Like, why are you moving so skittishly? Like, why can't you just slow down and have a beer? Like, why
Survival,
can't you just
baby. Clearly you saw
yeah.
Ice Age.
Yeah, exactly. Like the squirrel from Ice Age, like always trying to get that nut. And then
You should have came to
You could even quote Eddie Murphy in the Nutty Professor, where Dave Chappelle's doing a stand up and he's about to come up on stage, and he says, "It's your world, dog. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut."
another person that I've actually never heard of at all in my entire life. Let's move on to a hardball question, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, track 18 of Indoor. So, um, if you know me, you know that like I'm very much in a like oh wow, I can hear myself on your side.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Um, all right, I'll cut right to the chase. You know me, like SJW, progressive, leftist, whatever you want to choose. Um, there are those, and like there are many people who have written about the fact that CRAZY is an ableist slur. And giving your own personal journey with the term and being in the spaces that you've been, what are your thoughts on that? Like, would you say that CRAZY is the C word now? in addition to other C words that we don't say in general?
So being someone who has bipolar disorder and has had it since he was 14 years old, um, I feel like the older that I've become, um, it's I feel like it just at certain times it hits harder more than like normal. Um, and if someone was to call me that, like, cause I'm a pretty good judge of character, and like, I have a very high emotional IQ. Um, if I can read it, if someone's trying to like actually be like hurtful, like I don't know, but like I even say that like in conversation with people. I don't necessarily think that it's a new C word, but I do understand when it's taken out of context and it is meant to, hurt somebody. And I always just try to be the best advocate I can be for the mental health community. But I feel like everybody is that particular C word to some extent, because nobody I don't know what normal is. I don't think anybody really knows what normal is. So we all must be crazy then, because I don't know what normal I have no idea what normal is. I don't think anybody that I've ever encountered in my entire life has been normal. Um and I just, I don't think it's a new C word, but I do feel like it should be used less often than it is used right now.
Well said.
Like,
Um, we have at least two more questions to discuss, and then we'll do like the last fun one, and then we'll do our calls to action. Track number 19 of Endure is Nothing But Your Love. And I just wanted to like ask you like more lighthearted stuff after like such a a difficult question as question 18. What is your favorite love song?
oh man, my favorite love song. Ah, yikes. Um, um, well, if you asked me this question 2 months ago, I would have said, um, "Love Me Tender" by Elvis. Or I would have said "Just to See You Smile" by Tim McGraw. Those are the two that come to mind in particular. But there's actually just like there's certain music that I can't even listen to now. Just for personal reasons. Just like there's a lot of movies that I can't listen movies that I can't watch now to for personal reasons. But I would say probably, yeah, those two: "Love Me Tender" by Elvis and "Just to See You Smile" by Tim McGraw.
Okay, man. Maybe like this the next question will kind of like like be a good segue for that then. Question number 20 is faith. And I guess it's a little like a little vague, a little deep. This is like I guess like your Ask Mikey like newspaper column. What does one do if they lose their faith? How do you like like counteract that?
Mm. I would say to seek out somebody to talk to that is a person of faith. Um, if it's something that you're trying to gain back, because you know, like I'm a Christian, I'm a bad Christian, and it is not my goal to convert people to Christianity. That's not what the Bible preaches. The Bible preaches is to share the good word, to share the good news. You know, God said, God, when God made the heavens and the earth, He said that was the word, and the word was good. But it's our job to share that, but it's not my job to make you a believer. So I think if a person is losing their faith and they're a person of faith, is to seek out other people of faith to talk to about, okay, why am I losing my faith? You know, I'm in a bad situation right now where, I'm even losing that part of myself. So I feel like, if I talk to people like you, if I talk to people like, my mom or, some relative about what I'm going through, go to your support system, people that you can trust, people that you can rely on, people that are going to show up for you and listen to you. Because at the end of the day, what people really want is to be heard. People want to be heard, people want to be listened to. At the end of the day, I think that's just what it comes down to.
Awesome. Okay, here comes like this is what I'm looking forward to the most. I joked about like when you mentioned squirrels, like, oh, you should have come to college with me in Indiana because like the squirrels on campus were so peculiar to the ones that I've grown up with in Maryland. But one thing that I did in college besides skip all my classes was go geocaching with my roommate Max.
Mm.
Max, if you're out there, I love you very much. And thank you for being my friend. And like a lot of like the homies and I, we travel all over like the grounds and just try to find like these these treasure chests with other stuff in it, and like you can take something out, you can like leave something for the next person who might find that particular like drop. And so like in addition to that, like one of my more recent finds musically was the song "Just Like This" by Loco and George. And in the music video, like the two homies are like going camping, like like they're going fishing, they're like eating marshmallows, like they're frolicking. But at the end, like the apex of the video, they found like they found like the time capsule for when they were kids, and they add to it, and they're like, all right, and they leave instructions for themselves, like, don't touch this for like the next decade or so. And I find that just very like romantic and cool. And one thing about the internet these days that it'll never forget. And hopefully if humanity is here like 10, 15 years from now, I'd love for us to just like leave messages to ourselves. Like 10, like you'll be 40-year-old Mikey in 9 years. And so if you could say anything to 40-year-old Mikey, what would you like to say?
Mm. Wow. 40-year-old Mikey. Wow. You did it, man. You got married. You got kids. You got 4 kids, 2 kids, 3 kids, whatever amount of kids you got right now. I can't predict the future. But wow, man, you did it. You got married. You recovered. You healed. You made a bunch of music that'll last forever. I'm so proud of you, my guy. You're 40 years old. You're over the hill. Go have a beer. Go celebrate with your dad, your family, everybody. I love you.
I love you too, future Mikey. Would you look at that? Mikey, I'll tell you, like usually when I get on here and I talk to whoever I'm talking to, we'll go for any time between like we'll go for like an hour and a half to like 3 hours if like we're really like encouraged to do so. But we got through everything in like 10 minutes or less under the one I usually do. So you broke the record.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Um if you like, right now there's much in like the description for the morning, but like you can find the link tree to Endure on Spotify or Apple Music, whichever DSP you prefer. You can find Mikey's music scattered about Bandcamp, DatPiff. Like I'm sure if you like if you reached out via Twitter or Instagram, like he'd mail you something if you required it, So please like support the homie. Like I'll make sure that I drop comments at when this is uploaded, so you can like keep up with like the next release that he has. At this time, Mikey has 19 followers on Spotify. Let's see if we can double that up. You know what I'm saying? Let's get him to 99. Let's get him to 100. Let's get him to 1,000. It's possible.
Yeah.
Like listen to the songs, leave constructive criticism. Like what I wanted to tell you like on the stream, but like this is your best vocal performance far and wide.
Wow.
Like I
Thank you.
listened to everything. I listened to everything you've ever. I've listened to most things that I've listened to most of the stuff that you've created since our time in school together. And like I still like remember hearing "Keep Shining" at my local library when you like told me that you made it. And like you've
Wow.
come
Yeah.
far and wide, and so you should be proud of yourself. And I can't wait to see what you decide to do next.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. That, coming from you, someone that I've, always have, looked up to, and, your voice is such a huge and loud voice in music. And I think that, you have also come a very long way. And, what you're doing with music and interviewing and having podcasts and having people come on and talk, and even though it's been almost an hour and 30 minutes, it feels like like no time has gone by. And that's when great discussions happen. And I'm so I'm proud of you. I'm so happy for you, and I love you, guy. And I'm gonna be putting the link to this in my link tree as well. Eventually, soon, I'm hoping for a website to kind of like have everything on there, but this will definitely be on there. So, it's yeah, it's crazy, right?
Certainly not the term that I would use, but I agree. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
speechless. I'm speechless.
So let's do some calls to action. There are 4 this time. Usually there are 3. I'm trying out a new one. I'll save it for last.
Mhm.
Let's do like the important one first. Soon after you're done listening to this, maybe you'll turn your phone off, you'll put it down so you can go to the restroom, brush your teeth, wash your hands, use the facilities and such. I don't know, like trim your beard or whatnot. But at some point, you're gonna look in the mirror and I want you to look at yourself with full sincerity, no jokes or anything like that, and just tell yourself, I love you. Say I love you to yourself. And if for any reason you cannot do that, please know that folks like me, Mikie, and Chris Kennard, we love you in the most supportive and platonic way possible. Hate is easy, but love is worthwhile because love never fails, at least in my humble opinion.
That's right.
Secondly, your second call to action. Maybe y'all can hear this. That's water. You should be drinking it. Water is good for you. I'm going to have a sip right now because I am parched after talking for an hour and a half. Delicious.
Yeah.
Good for your body, good for the soul. Drink more water. Thirdly, this is from me personally to all who might be listening. When you leave your home for any particular reason whatsoever, for the sake of the elderly, for the sake of the children, for the sake of the immunocompromised, wear a mask over your nose and under your mouth. We are not out of the woods yet. So please bear that in mind. Let's protect one another, and let's protect ourselves. If you're gonna wear the cheap kind, wear 2. Miss COVID-19 is still out here wreaking havoc on people's lungs and such, and I would prefer to live until I am at least 85. So just putting that into the universe. Finally, with Pride only being a day away, my new call to action is please don't be dismayed. Contribute to mutual aid. There are a lot of rich people on earth and they don't like to share. So if we can't depend on them, we have to depend on one another. I know that at this point in my life, I've done fairly well for myself financially. I remember when Tyler, the Creator, was promoting the 3rd album, and people were like, damn, Tyler, you're rich. And he said, nah, I'm financially secure. And that's a good pivot, but not a lot of people can not a lot of people can say the same things about their own lives. So if you're on social media and such, and you see someone just trying to crowdfund for any particular reason, maybe like the post, maybe share the post. There's no harm in such. That maybe there are a lot of greedy rich people out there, but there are also some nice wealthy people who want to help others along and just close the gap on just poverty for good. I live in Philadelphia, and I wish I was wealthy just so I could help folks have a place to sleep that is safe and such. I'm thankful for the home that I have, and I have to move in a year. So keep your boy in prayer. Don't be dismayed. Contribute to mutual aid. A wise man named Eichler's once said, we can build a new life and new community. Contribute to mutual aid to help the folks on the street. Eat the rich, feed the kids. Don't grow up to be a capitalist. So with that, That is the conclusion of Mikey's endurance. Mikey, is there anything you wish to say to the world outside? Any plugs and promos you want to make for yourself before we get out of here?
Um, thank you, Chris. I just wanted to, say, to all of those, all of those that haven't heard the album yet, I would definitely strongly encourage to listen to it, and know that anything that I put out creatively, it comes from a place of love. I don't have any room in my heart for hate. I don't have any room in my heart to condone hate or anything like that. I believe in, peace and love, 100%. And, that's anything that you would get from me creatively or in my life and personally would just be nothing but love. And, I just, to my fiance that, just decided to leave, I love you more than anything. And it doesn't have to be this way. And just listen to that album.
Okay, then. The time is 1:34 on May 31st, 2023. I'm Chris Leonard. I'm joined by Mikey. Good morning, good night, good morrow. Have a good night's sleep. This is goodbye, but it is not farewell. Mikey, say goodbye to the people out there.
Bye. We say goodbye before we'll say hello again.
Well said. Thanks, y'all. Have a nice evening, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.